Nanda dirty scandal. It has now become a national news story that everybody is tracking and reporting about. These gurus have taken our country for a ride up too long. The style government to promise you dream and give you the hope simply to get some money, to get some property, on some other sexual favors out of the innocent devotees. Now, the Ahmedabad police claims that Nithyananda has fled from the country, that he is untraceable. Perhaps he indeed is an alien like he claims and has the technology to miraculously vanish in thin air. But a very basic investigation by the Mirror Now team has led us to find the picture of his expired passport. Yes, Nithyananda's passport expired in 2018 itself. Now, big question, of course, is was it renewed? And if so, at a time when this man is facing rape charges, which he was last year, and that trial is still on, who let him get a new passport? Was there an alert put into the system? And if there was, then how could he have fled? That's the picture of the old passport of Nithyananda that expired in 2018. We tried to find out what happened after this. Listen in.
Sir, this is actually with regard to 2018, sir, when you were the SP of Ramnagar, sir. Just one small clarification I wanted.
Okay.
Had you, sir, by any chance, there are a lot of reports going the rounds now about you denying, Mr. Nithyananda the passport renewal.
Okay.
Because of, the criminal cases pending against him. So I just wanted to check with you, sir. Had you by any chance at that time denied the passport renewal?
I think I remember we denied that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sir. So we can take it, sir, that, the passport renewal was denied by the Ramnagar police in 2018?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
So there you go. The policeman in charge at that point of time said that I remember it very clearly that his application, and to apply for a new passport or to get your passport renewed, you have to get your police approval and verification done. Here is a police who says it was denied. So did he get a new passport? Under what name? And who really approved that is the question. Gujarat police claims he has fled. I hope they are watching this. The man who allegedly abducted and tortured children and faces a rape charge today released a video claiming innocence.
Arresting the administrators, forcing them to confess to the crimes which they have not done, and forcing them to implicate me into the crimes which has not happened. First spreading false informations using social media and media, then filing a false case, then arresting the administrators, Adinavasis, and torturing them.
But even in this 1 hour, 10-minute video, and Mirror Now was the first to bring it out and show it to our viewers earlier in the day, it's a 1 hour, 10-minute long sermon that he's obviously giving brazenly without any fear of law. He's trying to scam people. He's asking for land donations, generous donations, and also hinting that all of this can be in exchange for divine powers, levitation powers, it seems. Take a look.
Many people, devotees, were crying and asking the SMKT, what can we do? The only solution we can do is some small bit of land in any one corner of the world, anywhere, where we have freedom to practice Hinduism, where me and my sannyasinis can stay.
Anyway, this is a cult leader that I'm showing now. I'm going to we're gonna listen to somebody who was part of his cult, and you will soon find out who he is completely, because I've just kind of thrown you in the middle. So yeah, let's play this.
there was nobody else who had left the Nithyananda cult, so I really dove into Leah Remini's series, Scientology and the Aftermath, and that led me to find your channel and Ron's channel and so many other ex-Scientologist channels. Yeah, and I totally appreciate the work you're doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I hope that this will be another, notch in the stick of anti-cult activism here, So let's get into your story. You are obviously Canadian.
Is it that obvious, eh?
It's, to those of us who recognize the accent, yeah.
Yeah, I'm Canadian.
Born in Canada then?
Yeah, born in Canada.
And okay, so how does somebody from, well, first off, would you say you had a normal, regular upbringing? How are your parents? How are you get along with them?
I get along really, really well with my family. I was born and raised in a Catholic family and a fairly conservative education Catholic family. My granddad was the director of curriculum of the Catholic school district, and he was the superintendent of the district when I first entered Catholic school. And my mom's a teacher, my auntie is a teacher. So it was a fairly traditional Catholic upbringing. And I mean, I've heard some people say every religion is a cult, and yeah, I don't think so, because in Catholicism, like I went through a major rebellious phase when I turned about 8 or 9 years old. It started when we were getting prepared to receive the First Communion, which is one of the Catholic sacraments or the rites of passage. And that was the first time they taught us the words of the Mass. Before that, Catholic kids go to Sunday school. So when we had to say the words, "Lord, I am not worthy to receive you, but only say the word and I shall be healed," I raised my hand and did something a Catholic schoolgirl shouldn't do. And I said, "Why are we not worthy to receive the Lord? Didn't he create us? Why would he make us if we're not worthy?" And I wasn't really satisfied with the teacher's answer, so I kind of went through the motions but no longer believed in it. Then later I got cats and fell in love with animals and decided not to eat meat anymore. And it wasn't politically motivated. I didn't even know the word vegetarian. I just decided, okay, I don't want to eat animals. So they kind of thumped the biblical view and said, well, God put animals on the planet to kill and eat. And that led me to call myself an atheist as a kid. And I thought, I don't believe in God. Why would God make a person who's not worthy? Why would God make animals just to get eaten? Couldn't he have invented a better thing to be food so it doesn't have to suffer? So, the only strain that ever existed, if you can call it that, between me and my family or me and my upbringing is that I guess I thought in a way that was different from the norm. But
right, at least the norm established by your family.
The norm established, exactly, by a Catholic family.
Right.
And what's interesting, the reason I would say now that Catholicism, for all of its many, many, many flaws, I don't in any way go to church I'm still never going to fall back into Catholicism. But when I told my grandfather, who was very heavily involved in the Catholic community, I don't believe in this. I'm vegetarian. I don't believe in a God who can, make species suffer. Disconnect from me and say, well, you are no longer my granddaughter. I didn't get banned from Sunday dinners. They started buying veggie burgers, so there'd be something for me at the barbecue. And, they'd make a little joke. Well, let's all go to church, except for Sarah. She'll stay home. So when you're in a community that believes something and you believe something else, but everyone coexists peacefully, and if there's a debate, it's a friendly debate. Like, you believe this, I believe that, but at the end of the day, we still love each other. That's the kind of family I was raised in. So,
well, that's a blessing.
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, given the family situation with a lot of people, that's really very, very cool. And there are, of course, Catholics who will shun, especially old school, what do they call that?
Vatican.
Yeah, Vatican II. Yeah, especially the old guard. But yeah, you can't really call the Catholic Church as an entity, as an entire whole, a destructive cult. It doesn't really follow the model. You will find individual clergy or individual family members who will practice shunning, who will do the us versus them thing, who will be abusive about the belief system. You definitely find that, but that doesn't, you can't take instances like that and then paint the entire picture that way.
No.
Scientology, on the other hand, that whole group is just an abusive group. I mean, there just isn't. There's no church of Scientology you can go to where you're not going to experience the abusive aspects of it.
And the same applies to the Nithyananda cult. When I left Catholicism, my family said, "Okay, great, the door's always open if you change your mind." When I left the Nithyananda cult, they started a character assassination attempt behind the scenes, more active and malicious when I went public about the abuse I had suffered in that organization. So, for me, a religion is a place that you can go to for comfort or for community or for something that you feel is missing in your inner space. And the door is always open to come and go. But the cult experience was something that I wasn't prepared for because I had never experienced a destructive community. So I feel like back in 2009, when I first found Nithyananda, I had no idea that a group could become so toxic in the name of spirituality.
Right. And let's go ahead and get into that. How did you grow up in a regular, nice, normal Catholic household in Canada and end up in an Indian cult? That is quite an interesting thing.
At the time I found Nithyananda, I was living in Vancouver. And I had gone to art school for a couple of years. I felt a little directionless about my future. Part of me wanted to be a professional artist. Another part of me was getting really interested in new agey stuff. Like there was a crystal shop very close to the university I had attended, and I got really drawn in by, at first, just the beauty of the shiny things. You see a geo, you see crystal, and I'm fascinated by geology, the hard science, but I started getting really curious about gemology, more of the pseudoscience, the mystical stuff. And
like the mystical properties and spiritual qualities of the gems and that sort of thing.
For sure, exactly. And I started, a lady working at that crystal shop was really, really cool. She used to tour with the Grateful Dead. She dated one of those guys, and she would tell stories about different shamans in South America who work with different stones. And I got really captivated by that. And that's what led me to practice meditation and to, start seeking for spiritual answers outside of the cultural dynamic I grew up in. And that's when I started shifting my belief from atheist more into agnostic. And I'd had experiences throughout my life where I saw what could only be described as Hindu gods in dreams. And I could never really equate where that came from because having been raised Catholic, and especially going to Catholic school, I didn't meet anybody from India or know anybody from that culture. And so I'm fully open to the possibility that I might have seen a National Geographic cover or come across that in a textbook somewhere and didn't know about it and it popped up in a dream. I don't know how the subconscious works. But at that time, I interpreted this as being that I had had visions of these gods and goddesses, so they must be reaching out to me, trying to tell me something.
Sure.
So I was fully, deeply into that when I started praying for enlightenment, because I came across scriptures in Buddhism and Hinduism that said the ultimate goal of all human life is to realize enlightenment. So I had friends from work who took me to see Buddhist teachers who were talking about Tibetan tradition. A guy who ran a shop at the store where I was working was actually a Scientologist, and he told me that if I wanted to experience leaving my physical body and seeing things from outside my physical body, that was the goal for his practices, and I should check it out. So it's like there were different kind of cultic people buzzing around, inviting me to different places. But for some reason, it was the Nithyananda group that seemed to have what I was looking for. And
what would you, in hindsight, in retrospect, looking at that, what was it about them? What stood out for you?
Well, first and foremost, what stood out was that as soon as I got to the meditation center, everyone there seemed really peaceful and really content. And when I had gone to the other groups, for example, when a friend brought me to a Buddhist lecture, there was a lot of kind of paranoia about behaving correctly in front of the Rinpoche who was visiting. You know, you have to bow a certain way, you have to sit a certain way, you have to stand a certain way. And it seemed like the organizers were almost scared of disrespecting him. And, you know, the coworker, the guy at the store next door who invited me to a Scientology lecture, I asked him flat out, well, okay, you're describing this thing, I think he called it exteriorizing. Maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, that's what it's called.
Okay, so I asked him, so have you experienced it? And he said no. And I said, well, has anybody teaching you experienced it? And he said no. So I kind of ruled that's, unless somebody tells me they've experienced something themselves, I'm not to throw myself into something. But when I got to the Nithyananda Center, it was called the Life Bliss Center, and it was on my bus route home on, you know, Broadway Street in Vancouver at the halfway point on my bus route. I walked into the room. People were saying the goal for this practice is not just to get enlightened when you die, but to be in a space called living. In Sanskrit, they call it Jivan Mukti, living enlightenment. And I asked them, so what does that mean exactly? How does it apply in your life? And they described having reduced thoughts, less distraction from the task at hand, being focused, being centered. And when I asked, are you experiencing this? Everyone said yes. So it seemed like, okay, here's a group who practices what they preach. Everyone seems happy. It didn't come across at all as dogmatic. There was no set of beliefs that you had to ascribe to be part of it. They said you can still do, you know, crystal healing, which I was into, and also follow Nithyananda. People could still be Jewish and follow Nithyananda, or Catholic and follow him. And so it seemed inclusive, not exclusive. And there were a few red flags, like the ladies who coordinated the center all wore matching beaded necklaces with his picture on it. And I thought that was really cheesy and stupid, but, you know, I kind of set my criticism aside and decided to listen to them instead of just jumping to a conclusion about them. And they told me that they wore those necklaces called malas with his picture because it reminded them of the goals of their life and their devotion, and they felt empowered by it. And it's funny, like one of the things I said to myself was, well, I'm never going to need to wear this man's picture in order to feel empowered. And yet, within a couple of months, I was right there doing it with them. It's really easy to get swept along with a crowd when, you know, you immerse yourself in a community where every single person is doing the same exact thing and hyping each other up and saying, this is the best decision I've ever made. I can't believe I ever lived any way other than this.
And this was mostly focused around meditation.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you would report to the place like what, after work or on the weekends or something, and just sort of, okay, now I'm going to meditate.
Sort of, yeah. At that time, the place was open 3 nights a week.
Okay.
One, we would watch a discourse of this master that had been pre-recorded in India. And I use the term master very loosely. I would call him a master manipulator. But we would watch his discourses, and he would speak in a really thickly accented Tamil voice and talk about, interestingly enough, a lot of Scientology concepts. He talked about engrams, and he said that...
Wait a minute, what? He actually said engrams?
Yes, I shit you not. He said engrams. He
What?
also said, oh, get this. You might appreciate this little factoid. He claimed that L. Ron Hubbard was a reincarnated rishi. And rishis are like the ancient Vedic wise men who penned down the Vedas and the Agamas and a lot of Hinduism's sources. So he claimed L. Ron Hubbard is a reincarnated rishi, and that samskara, the term for, you know, an event from your past that weighs heavily on your present and limits your future. He said engram is the word L. Ron coined that is the English equivalent of samskara. So he wanted us to call it samskaras, but he said that the same teachings apply. So
I'm sorry, just let me ask you about this. So what is he define as a samsara?
Samskara.
Samskara. Okay. What is it? What is, if you didn't know anything about engrams,
Right.
what would you say a samskara is?
Oh, my bad. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put up the lady who's talking this. Hold up, let me find her because I know I've got a video of her.
I was checking. I haven't had no fly.
Yeah, okay, in a minute.
I was.
Where is she?
Nah, nah. Well, game rehearsal, huh? Really, there should be a shit.
Hi, and thank you for tuning into this very special video. I'm tempted to drag on an intro and build up the anticipation and act like it's a huge surprise who I'm interviewing, but I'm guessing you already saw the thumbnail and the title, so I'm just going to give a warm welcome. I'm so happy to have you on my channel again, Jordan Estrada.
Thank you. This was much needed for this time and space that we're in right now. And it felt so aligned to do this video with you, especially.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's been so long since we've sat down on camera together and talked about the issues. And in the past year, we've both learned so much more than what we knew the last time we spoke about the cult that we left. And
Yeah,
their attacks against us have been enormous, but I feel like
several attacks.
several attacks, yeah. But I think the danger that people are in now who are still brainwashed and following the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda, and like the hardcore measures they're taking to recruit more people in make it so that we kind of can't stop talking about them. Even if they keep attacking us, it's important to keep warning others.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's just been a whole bunch of new wave of information, which is even new to me.
Yeah.
Very surprising. I had to hold back tears from some of the stuff that I'm hearing, which involved the children there and everyone that is still there at one point in time where I saw them as family members. So to hear these stories, these horrible things that these children and young adults had to do, in from the instruction of Poops, and Poops is what we call Nithyananda.
Yeah.
It was just heartbreaking. It was so heartbreaking to hear, and to hear what's going on now that they're getting their visas ready to go fly to wherever he is. Like that to me is something that we have to stop, because he's doing all of these acts of abuse to everyone, and it's just very heartbreaking to see all of my friends still there. So much years is just passing them away, and so much opportunities in life is being closed off to them.
Yeah.
And you could even also say this yourself, after we left the cult, so much life has opened up for us.
True.
And I felt like I tapped into true spirituality after I left.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like I can remember and kind of relate to what the current followers are going through, where they feel like their entire spiritual identity and their entire livelihood is built around Nithyananda Sangha. Like they don't understand that it's possible to meditate outside of holding the vision of that fraud in their inner space or connecting with the deities as per his instruction. But I love how you worded it, that true spirituality really opens up when you leave that cult. It's like you have to drop all the conditioning of how you have to connect and all the dogma that he would
Yeah, there's a
yeah,
lot of dogmas over
yeah.
there.
And it's just sad that the people who are living it, they are worked 24/7 with so much stress and so much pressure and so
Yeah,
much unreachable goals. They don't have a moment to stop and think, do I feel better doing these practices than I did before I came here? Or am I fulfilled in my speaking? Do I really feel that this resonates? And like, do you remember, Jordan, he would tell us that any doubt that we had about him or any doubt we had in the processes was SDHD, self-doubt, self-hatred, and self-denial.
Yeah, self-hatred, self-denial.
So like any
Still
time,
know it.
yes, exactly. We all know that jargon probably forever. But
Yeah.
he would systematically turn off our own personal intuition and our personal divine connections by making us feel like if we questioned him, we were hating ourselves or we were ruining our lives. And it's kind of amazing that so many of us have been able to get out. Like on the flip
It's a
side,
miracle.
absolutely.
Straight up miracle.
Straight up
Yeah.
miracle. The amount of mind control and
If like I told you the other day, if I was a Spanish speaker, if I spoke Spanish, I could be trapped there still.
yeah.
Because I was called, right? I was called by Maya Natma from Ecuador, and she asked if I spoke Spanish. If I would have said yes, I spoke Spanish, I would have been on a flight that night to go to where he was at.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people stuck there with
Yeah.
him and just trapped.
True.
They're just trapped.
Yeah, you and me both. Like I got the call from Ranjita and she asked me, how soon can I fly? And at that time, I was a fully surrendered disciple living in the Bididi ashram. So I felt my life was in their hands. I'm ready to fly that moment if they asked me to. And the one thing that saved me was she asked, how fluent are you in Spanish? Do you only speak it or can you also read and write? And I told her,
Oh, wow.
I'm not fluent in speaking or writing Spanish. And then I heard Poops, aka Nithyananda, in the background, and he was arguing with her, saying, no, 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 she speaks Spanish. She did the translation once in the hall for IA participants. And I had to jump in and say, like, no, I did the French translation, but I never did Spanish translation. And similarly to you, like if I had told them that I spoke Spanish fluently, I would have been on a plane to Ecuador that night. So I feel like, I mean, as much as I don't want to say it's a boon not to speak a second language or a third language, like we got lucky. But people like Vanessa Pena, who is called
Yoga Swami.
yeah, people like Rodrigo, I heard he was there in Ecuador. Basically anybody in that cult who spoke Spanish. We haven't seen any social media activity from them in going on 3 years now, I guess.
Yeah. But it's so nice to see that people are leaving, they're tapping into, their inner voice, that is saying all this stuff to them to wake up. And that's something that I had, even while being there, seeing all the red flags. I stopped ignoring, that inner compass inside me that was telling me to get out of there.
Yeah.
And I had help from, from Steven. And he's the one that single-handedly woke me up out of there.
That's incredible.
And it's just all these divine things that happened to me while I was there, for me to be deprogrammed while a sannyas, while in Kavi. And I had a lot of the deprogramming happen while I was there. And I remember just like looking around, like scared, like, fuck, like I got to get out of here. I have to get out of here right away with no money. My family didn't want to give it to me because I got myself there. I should be able to get myself out. And they didn't know the measures that I was in. Yeah. And Stephen helped me out. I had a handful of people that gave me money to catch a flight out of Gujarat. I remember my last final week there, I was so scared, thinking I wasn't going to be able to raise the money to get out of there. And not only that, just constantly being blasted, yelled at by, the higher ups there. And within my last month there, I was just getting yelled at every day, and I saw a handful of beatings. with my own eyes being done on young adults and children.
Oh my God.
At the same time, Steven is telling me that it's a freaking cult.
Yeah. Wow.
And I didn't necessarily run away because I had approval, but I only told my lead, and I told my lead that I was going. I didn't say goodbye to anyone. I just snuck out of there.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that's come to our awareness since the last video we made together is that there are so many people currently there brainwashed either in the Gurukul or as Adinavasis or in the Sannyas order, and they're watching our videos secretly because
Mm-hmm.
they want to understand what's going on, and even if they don't believe us, they might have that same inner voice that you referred to saying, get yourself out of there. So I just want to say, like, if you're watching this now, we love you, we care about you. It doesn't matter if you've spread lies and rumors and terrible defamatory false accusations. The fraud who calls himself Nithyananda had lust. We knew that for a fact because he attempted molestation on both of us, and he made his intentions clear in private messages and by fondling my chest once, or by forcing Jordan's hand where Jordan didn't want to put it while giving him a massage. Like, we already knew that he wasn't celibate, but we did not know that he was literally pimping out his female disciples for his own materialistic gains. And you know
It
what?
even gets worse from that. From
It gets
there, it gets worse.
it gets
It's
worse.
like, Sarah, like when I thought it couldn't get any more dark, when I thought it couldn't get worse than what I already know, it did. And this is going to be very new and surprising, heartbreaking for people that are watching this.
Mhm.
And we're telling you this because you have to know the truth.
Yeah.
If this is what it takes for you to wake up and come back to your senses, come back to yourself, come back to your soul, and so be it. You know, we have to share this information.
Yeah.
You know, we're holding on to this truth, and it doesn't even feel good for me to just keep it in.
No.
You know, it's like a disservice to those still there, people that are starting to connect to him, new people, and they have reached out to me. So crazy. I had this follower I've never seen before, but it seems like he's been following Poops for a while. He's been a celibate for a long time, like about 10 years. And he's feeling the urge, you know, to be sexual again. And he saw my journey on how I transitioned from being a celibate into like a sexual lifestyle. And he was asking for advice, and he would chime in on what Poops would say about it. And I just told him, I was like, because I got right away that he's a follower of Poops, and he's having all these things happen within his body and in his mind where, you know, he wants to pursue being in a relationship. And he was mentioning quotes from Poops on how, like, once you break your vow of celibacy, it could take a very long time to build your space back up and get into that higher energy. And I was just it's like so far from the truth. And I said to him, I was like, you shouldn't take brahmacharya advice from someone who's not brahmacharya. And I said, if you want to know the truth on what is really going on, I'm here to help you. And he started asking questions, and I just I let him have it. And I didn't even, like, maybe I should go easy. It's like I'm just tired of getting bombarded by people sharing Swamiji stuff with me, and they're still like deep into this thing, not knowing what's going on. So I just like unloaded like everything that I had, all of this knowledge and stuff, and he blocked me. And there's a new person where I went a little easy, you know, I build up the rapport a little bit, but then I get so impatient because they're just like, I get so just get irked by their response. It's like they're not seeing it, and I just let them have it and blocked again. And this was a new person, like a few months in, and yeah, it's just sad. And it's like I did that same thing to Drita, where I just bombard on their belief system and their bhakti to poops, and they go into this cognitive dissonance state, and they think I'm just this dark person that was a victim to black magic. And it's just so crazy. So hopefully I trust this video will spark the light in people to wake up and finally leave this cult.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's more of this information that you just said of the like, where Poops is sending girl devotees to get pimped out. If you want to carry on about that, there's even more that they need to know.
Absolutely. Part of it is that we knew that he was sexually active with adult members of the organization, but a new piece of information is that he had private message groups in Facebook where he would demand nude photos from underage girls. The parents of one of those underage girls have already been extremely publicly active, pressing charges of kidnapping for the girl who got trafficked, out of India to Nepal, and from Nepal to
And we've both seen the screenshots of these messages
both
too.
seen screenshots, yeah. And she wasn't the only girl. Like, the fact that her father is really outspoken in the Indian media doesn't mean he's the only father of a kid who this happened to. There are 2 girls who I know of for a fact who sent nude selfies to Nithi's inbox while they were 16 and 17. But for every 2 that we know about, I can't even begin to imagine how many more we don't know about. And if it happened to even one girl, that would have been one girl too many. But I have a feeling there are more, like things that we would see when we were there in his courtyard that were red flags, like Maud Vate taking underage girls and boys up to his bedroom in A10 and then sitting outside and waiting for the kids. Like, no other adult went into the room to supervise what he was doing with those kids. I heard recently from a Gurukul boy who left that he had been raped by Nithyananda.
Oh shit.
I didn't push for details, so this may have happened after he turned 18. But even if he was 18, having grown up in the Gurukul school and been trained from childhood to see Niti as a father figure, an authority figure, a god figure, a guru figure, even if he was of legal age, he wasn't of sound mind. He was still under the undue influence of the cult mind control, telling him anything Nithyananda asks you to do, you have to say yes because it's Guruva. And if you don't do
And
it,
so Poops is capable of having sex. He doesn't have the testosterone level
no,
that
about
of a 6-year-old.
year-old, yeah, whatever lie they had said, no, he's fully capable of an erection and highly.
I felt very, the term he used to use, cheated. Like I really felt cheated, and I felt so let down because I believe that. I actually believe that he's like incapable of having sex.
Yeah.
And then after doing what I did with him, and that whole, clearly that was a lie.
Yeah.
And he's clearly able to be aroused. And after seeing also with my own eyes other sexual stuff happen in his room with other male disciples, I was like, wow, that, like, are you kidding me? Like that crushed me.
Yeah.
It was like beyond hurtful how someone has the audacity to lie to so many people that love him.
Right.
that give up their life, that dump all of their life savings to him. That's demonic.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the way that he would slowly break us down to accept what he was doing. Like in my case, the first time he told me I was an incarnation of Devi was back in 2009, in the very first inner awakening program I took. And then between 2009 and 2016, when my sexual abuse took place, throughout all those years in between, my faith and my devotion in him grew because I always felt if he really was a rapist like Arti Rao claims, if he really was sleeping with people the way, the media claims, he would have tried something with me by now. So like from 2009 to 2016, I also believed he was fully innocent, incapable of an erection, disinterested by sex, like evolved beyond gender. Um, so it really blindsided me when all of a sudden, like the very first time he hinted at something sexual was after I ran away from the Kumbh Mela in Ujjain and I came back to Canada.
Wow.
He sent me an
Yeah.
inbox message in Facebook saying, "You will see me in your bed physically."
Oh
Like,
shit.
that night, I slept on the floor next to my bed because I thought, well, he's a sannyasi, so I guess that means he's going to land to give me a blessing.
Oh my
So I'd
god.
better not like be in the bed. I was that brainwashed. Like people,
You slept on the floor in your own room. Didn't
yeah,
even sleep on your bed.
no, I put the
Yeah.
Atma Murti, like the big cardboard cutout of him, I put
Oh
that
god.
propped up on like both of the pillows and I slept on the ground next to it. And like when people accuse us of being criminally involved or co-conspirators with him, saying that like we recruited people into the cult or that we were doing his dirty work. I think what they don't understand is that we're also his victims. It's not like we were all for him and wanted to build up his evil empire and then one day decided to move on with our lives. It's that we were 100% devoted, gave our life
Oh yeah.
savings. Yeah, I sold a business and spent the entire.
I mean I came back to California
Mhm.
after leaving Gujarat with $0 to my name. I had nothing.
Yeah.
I had absolutely nothing. Like I had to restart my whole entire life. I had no phone, no car, no bank account. I didn't have my social security card. I had to get my birth certificate back. I had no driver's license.
Wow.
Yeah,
But you made it.
it was, I made it. And this is the thing. It's like people, if you're afraid to leave and you think that your life is going to be shit,
Mhm.
it's far from the truth.
Yeah.
It's far from the truth. There's so much sacredness waiting for you to embrace it that you cannot see because you're blinded by Poops' brainwashing that's just waiting for you. It's
Mhm.
just like waiting for you. And you're doing very well. I'm doing very well. There's others that we know of that left the cult that are doing very well. They're
Yeah.
healthy, they're mentally healthy, they're stable, they're deprogrammed, they're healing. So people that are afraid that their life is going to be shit or their family will disown them, that might be the truth. Your family may disown you, but it's like you have to get out of there for your safety and for your spiritual evolution, for your well-being as a whole.
Absolutely. Like when Jordan says for your safety, one of my biggest concerns is that Nithyananda has already told us a story that who knows whether this was actually a true story or not, but he told us a story that the Rudra Kanyas in a temple to Sadashiva were sitting around their murti one day when anti-Hindu elements came in and started insulting Shiva. And he told us on stage in a live satsang, this was back in 2018, he told us that the Rudra Kanyas couldn't stand to listen to anyone insult Shiva. So they threw themselves off the highest temple tower to their deaths because it was better to drop their bodies and join Shiva in Kailasa than to sit there and listen to somebody insult him. He then took such a dark turn
I
like that.
remember that.
that for me was one of the biggest red flags, because up until that moment, he would sometimes talk about how he's not a doomsday cult leader. He's not saying suicide is good. He would kind of like shit talk stuff like the Branch Davidians who had the shootout in Waco, Texas. He didn't give them as an example, but he would say there are cult leaders who force their disciples to commit suicide, but suicide is like a conscious death. You can't reincarnate until the Janma passes. Like, he was always anti-suicide. But in that one discourse, he said, if you drop your body consciously in praise of Sadashiva, you won't die. It's not suicide. You'll just automatically pop up in a new form in Kailasa. So what exactly is going to happen when people fly to this place called Kailasa? It could be a private island he owns. It could be a parcel of land that he's procured from some criminals in South America. Whatever it is, look at the history that's happened when a cult relocates to South America. When Jonestown happened, Jim Jones told all of his disciples, we're not able to live the lifestyle of our choosing connected with our God in the rest of the world. Like, in the world, we have to go somewhere where we make our laws, where we grow our own food, where we're off the grid. If you listen to what Nithyananda says about Kailasa, and you listen to the sales pitch Jim Jones gave for Jonestown before everyone up and moved there, it's identical. And when he has already told people, if you kill yourself for Shiva, it's not really a suicide, you just pop up in a new birth in Kailash, he is preparing people already. He's planting the seeds to tell them, killing yourself for him is not a suicide, it's a rebirth. And that is very, very frightening, because one report that I heard from a friend who very recently got out is that there was a situation in Ecuador where there was a power outage, and it was just a typical power outage. But Nitti got so scared, he started having a panic attack. He was shaking. He was saying, they're coming after me. They're coming after me. He didn't say who they are, but we can guess, like the police or Interpol or a human trafficking organization to free his disciples. But instead of being concerned for the people around him, he made them form a human barricade around him, form a circle around him.
And this is Shiva.
Yeah, this is the man who claims Shiva, and he's so freaking scared of the light going out. Right. So people who dedicated their entire life to serving him, he sees them as a human shield.
But his third eye isn't awakened. He can't tell that the power outage is just a typical power outage. He can't see with his third eye that there's no one there.
Right. Why would you be afraid of police coming after you if you're not a criminal? And
yeah, it's a big red flag.
He used to tell us
it's a clear sign that he's doing something wrong if he's afraid. If he's not doing anything wrong, he wouldn't be afraid that there's anyone coming after him.
Exactly. And like Jordan, you said, like, and this is the one who calls himself Shiva. Do you remember he used to tell us a story that he was in a cave somewhere on his Parivrajaka, that's also probably made up, where he said that he sat in a cave so deep into the Himalayas that no light could penetrate where he was. And after like so much time, he could see in the dark. Like, if that...
I doubt he did that, because if he's afraid of like the cops coming after him, he would be afraid to go into a deep dark cave.
Yes. Well, and if he could see in the dark, he would have been able to see so clearly that there's nobody coming after him. He would have seen
exactly.
That it's just, the hotel or the bungalow that they were in. So
another thing that I wanted to bring up when I mentioned leave for your safety, we all know what happened to Ishwar Priya, how he died in that car accident. And the beatings that go on, it could happen to anyone that's still there. You can get pimped out. I know, I believe that there's been males that have been pimped out for land or for money. Girls, the beatings, getting raped, So the Kantamala, if a devotee died in a car accident, then how does a Kantamala hold up to its value that Poop says that it will protect you from even death?
Yeah.
And how come Poops didn't mention in a live satsang, didn't do a what's it called, the Maheshwara Puja for Ishwara Priya, that he passed away?
Yeah.
But yet he did a Maheshwara Puja for a well-known, world-renowned pedophile, Prince Philip, who is the real anti-Hindu element.
Well, Nithyananda, he used to say the British royals are anti-Hindus. I remember there was a...
For sure they are.
Yeah. I mean, look at the history of, like when Queen Victoria went to India, caused false famines, and did all kinds of shit to the people who were there, tried to destroy Hinduism, pillaged diamonds out of temples. Yeah, definitely.
The jewel on the Queen's crown came from India, I think. India or Africa. But they're anti-indigenous. They're anti anything that's indigenous they don't like.
Absolutely.
And that includes India.
They try to conquer. They wanted to own those people.
Yep.
And for sure, there's like the Hope Diamond, you know, that mythically cursed blue diamond. I think it's in the Smithsonian right now, that was taken out of the eye of one of the Hindu goddesses in the Hindu temple. And there was a myth behind it that anybody who stole and wore that diamond would be cursed. And like history speaks for itself. There are stories of people.
The screenshots that she shared on her page of me allegedly reaching out to a devotee on Facebook Messenger, talking like an Indian speaking English.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a handful of people who are out now and deep, and these people that I spoke to, one of them have also done, a male, straight male, also done sexual stuff, even more than I did, with Poops. And he said when he first, and his mom, when they both saw that, they're like, this is not Datta. This is no way. He doesn't talk like this.
Yeah.
And he knew me very well. Like, he knew me very well. I was like, there's no way, like, he speaks like this. It was like someone that is Indian wrote that and did the best they could. And also about the drug smuggler thing, how come they didn't post their sources or their proof?
Yeah.
The fact that I'm a drug smuggler.
Exactly.
It's like, where do they hear that from? Like, what are their sources?
Well, and they claimed that there was an international investigation being conducted. If there actually was an international investigation being conducted,
how can you even prove that?
They wouldn't leak it on Facebook. They wouldn't tip people off that, hey, you're being investigated. They'd keep it under wraps and secretly have somebody do the investigation.
You know what's sad? I heard from someone who used to be in the WhatsApp group chat with everyone from San Jose.
Yeah.
Yo, they all bought that. Balaji, Vinesh, Mabram, like Mavish, all of them, Sanjay, they all think that. They believe that.
They believe that
in the depth of their being, they believe that I'm a drug dealer.
And not only you.
They believe this. Jeez. Like, if I was to go inside the Milpitas temple, but hey, everyone, first of all, they'd probably call the cops.
Yeah.
But they would look at me like, oh, this was a drug dealer.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
And they believe
so crazy.
Trying to get sex from that one devotee in LA when all you were doing was warning her that the fraud was sexually abusive. And then they took screenshots of that chat you had with her and photoshopped over it.
Yeah.
All kinds of BS. And like you said, it was in a Tamilian slang. Like, I don't remember the exact words, but I also read that and immediately said, this is not Jordan.
Sound like an Indian person. Yeah.
It wasn't, like, even to the point of the grammar and punctuation. Like, when you text me,
exactly, yeah,
you start your sentences with a capital letter, you end them with punctuation, but this was typed out in the Indian style shorthand, like the letter U instead of YOU. It was completely not your style of communication. And what's sad is that when they do these lies and these smears against us, they don't even do them well. They do them in such a shoddy, obviously fake way. It's even sadder to consider the fact that people we used to think were friends believe it. Like Ma Shivarupa, who used to be Anupama Deshpande. I sent her a private message right before I went public about the Gurukul beatings. And I told her the names of the two kids who had confided in me and cried and talked about getting beaten. And I said, like, I asked the little girl if Ma Shambhava was there. And I asked the boy if Adi was there, Mahadeva Maharaj. And they said yes. So I told her, like, you know, Anupama, you should know your kids got beaten in that school. And in return, she said, I don't ever want to hear from you again. You molested
Oh my God.
you slapped people. She believed the bullshit that they were spreading.
It's so crazy.
It's
I don't know how they believe this.
no.
I know Drita doesn't believe it, but you know what he told me? I told him everything, what happened to me in Poops in his room, about the drug smuggling thing, about the whole thing that I was trying to sexually get after someone. And he said, this happened to you and your guru. Didn't happen between me and my guru. Like we had a different guru.
Right.
Like
And
I had another guru and you had another guru and they weren't the same person.
yeah.
It's like a metaphor that I could use is, how would you feel if your city mayor did something like this to a citizen? Would you vote that mayor in? It didn't happen to you, it happened to someone else.
Yeah. Look at Harvey Weinstein with the casting couch issue. You don't hear all the actors in Hollywood saying to all the actresses that happened between you and your producer. And
Adil also said that to me.
really?
Oh well, it's not my experience, so it doesn't matter.
Wow.
Happened to you. Oh well, not my problem.
See,
It doesn't affect me. He doesn't think it'll affect him, and still is affecting him. They don't see how it's affecting them.
no. It's like they're going to wait until it does happen to them, and by then it'll be too late because they'll be in Kailasa with their passports and their cell phones confiscated, no way to leave, no way to contact home for help, trapped with him. Like, my fear is
It's
that
so sad they don't see how they're living a lie. Like they're supporting someone who's a fraudster, lying to them, and doesn't care about them.
right.
Doesn't think about them
Yeah.
at any time of the day. Just thinks about himself, on how he can get himself out of Interpol, how he's only left India to escape rape cases, warrants out for his arrest, trying to get asylum in a country so he could somehow escape all of those rape cases.
Yeah.
That's all he's caring about. He's only using everyone as a tool.
Yeah.
I don't know how they don't see that.
Claire from Calgary. I
Sad.
believed she was out. Like, I just kind of assumed that any Western follower of Nithya who I'm not personally in contact with, I just assume they woke up and left after everything that's been revealed lately. But you know that guy Loco Guano who made parody videos of us and other Nithya disciples?
Yeah.
He did a video recently about Claire, and she's calling herself Causing Claire, and she's going on TikTok talking about how she's going to cause people's reality. And the video, like, I don't have TikTok or use it. Like, I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. But Loco Guano, like, put together this video of snippets of her videos. And in one of them, she said, okay, like, I'll answer your questions. I have a question here. Somebody is asking, is it true that your guru bought a private island called Kailasa? And then she laughed and laughed and said, that's not true. And, like, I knew.
But
Claire.
isn't that the story that Poops is even talking about? That
Yes, it is.
he told me, like he told everyone. Like I saw him live say, "We have land, we have our own airport. Everyone is going to arrive here soon. Start to imagine the best life possible here with me on this island."
On Jonestown Island. Yeah. No, he even sent me an inbox message in Facebook saying, Ma, like, good news. we have UN on our side, like we have a self-sovereignty for our land.
which is a lie. We can get into that too on who we heard from insiders that were there in Ecuador
Yeah,
and told us exactly what happened with the UN case.
right. But yeah, Claire, she's denying it. And she said that it's not true that he bought an island. And does she know where he is? She says, no, I don't know where he is because I don't need to know where he is because his life is in danger. Somebody tried to assassinate him, so he had to leave India. And it's like, these people actually believe that somebody tried to assassinate Nithyananda. Nobody tried to assassinate him. He raped people and then he fled because he doesn't want to appear in court because he knows he's guilty. His life isn't in danger. His life is at risk of going to prison because he is a criminal. They just won't get that. And like, there was even somebody arguing with me in the comments under one of Loco Guano's videos saying, you know, I made the mistake of leaving Satya Sai Baba when he was in body and I had the chance, but now I'm not going to make that same mistake with Nithyananda. And it's like,
He did similar stuff as Poops too, I heard.
Yeah, I've heard that too. And it's like,
doing sexual stuff with his disciples.
yeah, no matter what, if you're following a guru who does not care about you, who wants to exploit you for money, for sex, for favors, for asylum to avoid a legal case, if he wants you to move to Kailasa and be a 24/7 slave in his work camps the way we've all been in Bididi, it is not enriching your life. It is not making you more spiritual. He talks about freeing yourself from the so-called Maya matrix, from like the government's controlling you. The worst day that I've lived in Canada under the Canadian government is better than the best day I spent in the Bididi ashram being controlled by Nithyananda. Like the freedom we actually have, for all the flaws that may exist in Canada, in the States, or wherever, I would rather live under the authority of a government than under the authority of a narcissistic psychopath who doesn't mind potentially making me kill myself to avoid hearing insults against him. Like, there's nothing that he as a guru can give you that you can't give yourself.
One thing that made me really angry while I was still brainwashed in the cult was he was already he fled. He was already gone, and he said that he said this only to the sannyasis that were there with him when the scandal came out with Arti Rao. He blamed them. It is their fault that he is still in this mess. And I was very angry because how is that responsibility? Like, he's not taking ownership for what he is dealing with. And there's so much wrong in that statement. It was like, didn't you cause that reality for yourself to happen? And how can you put blame on your sannyasis that devoted their whole entire life for you, and you make them feel like shit, saying that it's their fault that you went to prison, and now that you had to go to Ecuador, flee India to escape court cases? He blamed it all on the old devotees that were there from 2009.
My God.
There's no responsibility. Like, any leader takes ownership and responsibility for everything that is happening in their group, organization, business. It falls on them. Like, a real leader, a real CEO, a real guru would take ownership on that and bear the weight and not make their employees, disciples, anyone that's below them feel that way and have that burden in their heart.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
At that time, I was very angry.
yeah. I'm so glad you used the word responsibility, because he preaches AIRE, authenticity, integrity, responsibility, and enriching. And he claims his whole Sangha is structured on those 4 tattvas, those 4 core principles. And he tells us again and again in discourses, you are responsible for everything that happens in you and around you. You're responsible
You're
for
the source of everything happening
yes.
in and around you.
You are the source of everything happening in and around
Is
you.
this ringing any bells in people? Like, are people getting a wake up call? Like,
He can't be responsible for his own getting sent to prison. He can't take responsibility for the fact that there are court cases taken out against him. Like, he can't take responsibility for anything that happens in him or around him. He
blames it on something external. He blames it on anti-Hindu elements, and he even blames his most prestigious sannyasis that have been with them for 10 plus years.
Exactly.
Blames it on Achala, blamed it on like all these, I'm forgetting their names, but all these old school devotees, he blamed it on them.
Wow. And like, he calls us anti-Hindu elements. Look at the Rudrakshas that Jordan's wearing. Look at, like, I've got Lakshmi on my ear as a symbol of the fact, well, and around my neck.
If you see my room, I have a shrine.
Yeah.
I have a shrine with like all of the main deities in there.
Maybe in our next video. Let's see. I can show mine too. And like, every time I Skype with you or Zoom with you, I mean, there's the Durga behind you. Like, you still have that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
They call us anti-Hindu elements because that's the only way he can rationalize to them or explain why we're saying these things about him, because he won't just take the responsibility. Like, I would have been.
Who's a real anti-Hindu element here?
I'm sorry?
It's not us.
No.
I'm asking who is the real anti-Hindu element here?
Right.
Tim.
It's him. Absolutely, it's him. Every Hindu person I've spoken to since leaving his cult has said, I'm so sorry this happened to you. He is making a mockery of my religion. He is not a representative of my country. Like, Indians are ashamed of him. Hindus are so ashamed of him. And it's like, they want the world to know what Nithyananda does to people is not Hinduism. It's not according to the Vedic scriptures. It's not according to the temple protocol. He has basically Hindu washed Scientology. Like, he has taken
Dianetics. You should explain how the Dianetics book was in LA Temple, and he recommended the early people that were there in his mission to read it.
Yep. Like,
Scientology, Dianetics Scientology.
Absolutely. He created a pyramid scheme, or like an MLM, akin to the Scientology model, where the first program that gets somebody in off the street is free. Like, come for a free healing, come for a free puja, come for some prasadam, we'll feed you. Once the person's in the door, they sell them like $100 weekend program. That weekend program, it's not designed to contribute something positive to somebody's life. It's designed to market to them the next level program, which could be like a $5,000 yoga teacher training, and then it's the $10,000 inner awakening, and then the $15,000 December program. And guess what? The end of the
150,000 Sarvanya Pita.
150,000 Sarvanya Pita, $900,000 gold fake chain necklace, $1 million karta, get your statue in his temple. Like, he will ask for more and more and more and more. And if you think that one day he'll be happy because the temple will be built, it's never going to be built. He'll always want more. He has, like, if you remember the Hindu story, the scripture that describes that demon who every time a drop of blood is shed, it turns into like 10 more demons. So Mahakali has to stick out her tongue and lap up that blood before it like overtakes the world. That demon who keeps replicating, that's Nithyananda's ego. That's his greed. That's his lust. That's his power drive. He won't rest until he has billions of dollars and thousands of disciples and everyone lusting after him. No. And he'll never let you rest.
You know that there's a scripture. There's a scripture, this Devi scripture in Tupra Rahasyam, where she explained that there was this demon that fooled everyone into thinking that he was Shiva.
Oh, does that sound familiar? Wow.
And I read that scripture again when I left the cult, and I was like, oh my God, that is Poops. He fooled everyone into thinking he is actually Shiva.
All his disciples. Yeah.
So it's so crazy. Like what Poops has been done before in the ancient times.
Wow.
And it still continues to happen.
Yeah.
Like there's so many other gurus that think that have claimed that they're an incarnation or an avatar,
Mhm.
and it turned out that they're frauds.
Yeah.
It just happened throughout history.
Absolutely.
But Poops almost was very successful in hijacking Hinduism.
Yeah.
He had a seat in Madurai. He had a seat in
Mahanirvani
what
Akada.
was the one? Yeah.
Mahanirvani Akada.
Hmm.
He had
So he was
Narendra
almost successful.
on stage with him saying he's the reviver, or he's spreading Hinduism in the West, and he's the head of the Akada Parishad. So like the whole North Indian Shaivite Sampradayas were like under the umbrella of Narendra Giriji. I have a huge
Yeah,
respect
yeah.
for him too. Like I feel he got bamboozled just like the rest of us. And
Mhm.
you know, when the 292nd Mahasanidanam was,
Guru Mahasanidanam.
yeah, when
Now, this is how I know that these two was in that thing deep. It's the way they are pronouncing certain words now, right? As well. And he does literally sound like a Nature Boy copy. So, yes, because the reason why I'm not saying that because it's loud over here. I'm gonna put back up the newsreel after this, so you can see why I put him up, because my subby really told me about him from a while, and I'm kind of overdue doing this video, but it's better late than never. So I'm going to let them continue talking, and when it gets to the end, I know the video is going to seem long, but there's a lot of information that's imparted between these two members, ex-members, and it would explain even what his crimes towards people, because I think he's still, I think they've not caught him yet. I don't think they caught him. I did look it up, mind you, but I can't remember exactly the top of my head. So if I have to do a part 2 so we can find out whether they caught him or not, all right, I'll come back to it. But I'm going to let these two continue talking.
he kind of realized that Niti was fake, he stripped him of the title of Guru Mahasanidanam. And that's why Poops had such a grasp where he couldn't let go of Madurai. It's like his ego got hit, that he was denied this thing that he tried to swindle out of somebody. So now he has to assert his power. He claimed that he had a temple in Madurai. It was what, like a dry cleaning store that he like called a temple? I forget.
It was like a old strip mall or something. Old mall,
An old
I
mall.
think.
Yeah,
Horrible things happened there too.
I heard.
Early on when I first left India, I heard about all the horrible things that were being done there, of a sannyasi getting beat. No, he was a balasan. He got jumped.
Yeah.
He got jumped and he was in the hospital for 2 or 3 days. Instruction by Swamiji, by Poops, they said. There was instruction to beat him.
I heard that too. And like these are things that we heard, was it last year or like a year and a half ago when last we did a video like this? But
Oh, it was a while back.
yeah.
Year and a half ago.
Year and a half ago.
Yeah.
But these things are still happening, and that's what's really frightening, is that how many more kids have to get beaten before those who are currently following Nithyananda will finally say, you know what, enough is enough. And like the sad thing is the people getting the shit kicked out of them, getting hospitalized with injuries, getting prostituted out for land and for money, these are not people who have done something to personally hurt Nithyananda. These are people who have devotionally surrendered their lives to him, and that's how he treats them. Like he is so abusive. He is treating people who he should be protecting. He's abusing them, treating them like shit. That's so,
Yeah.
it's so sad. And like Maud
Yeah.
Vate, did you hear Maud Vate moved to Los Angeles and she's opening a Gurukul there? So like
Oh wow.
parents of
I didn't
American
I didn't
kids,
know this.
yeah.
Oh my god.
I heard from somebody in LA. So
Oh shit.
it sucks. And like I also heard that the parents of the two, I almost named the kids. I'm like censoring myself so I don't give the names of the kids who told me they were beaten. Um I heard that they got yelled at like all night and all day when I went public, because even though I've deliberately avoided saying their names in the video because I didn't want them to suffer or to get punished for talking to me, the cult was able to figure out who they were, and they did
Oh no.
for it. Yeah. The parents of those kids, I heard, also moved to LA Temple. And it's like, how can, like, my message to the parents of Gurukul kids, when I first said that the kids got beaten on December 31st, I sent private messages to a bunch of you and said, if you want to know who the kids are who spoke to me, I will tell you so that you know I'm not making this up. So the parents of the two kids who spoke to me, I told them it was your son to one, it was your daughter to the other. Every single parent I reached out to except for one. There was only one parent who replied back to me and said, thank you so much for telling me. I will never go back. My two sons are out with me now.
Mm,
We will stay out. That one lady was the
that's
only
good.
parent who took action. To all the other parents, you told me that I'm a liar, that you didn't believe me. Well, now that Kalpalata has spoken out publicly, not even having heard my video, Kalpalata Janardan has said, on the morning of December 31st, we were forced
Mm,
to beat each other. We all got beat. Do you
I saw
believe me?
that video.
Yeah, me too.
She even called out the Balasans,
Yeah,
those kids that saying, come on, it's true,
yep,
can't deny it.
yep. And those
And
poor,
still they're denying it.
they have to deny it. If they don't, they'll get beaten
Their
again.
whole,
Like,
it's like, it goes so deep. The brainwashing goes so deep, and they've invested so much of their life and energy into him. And they can't face the truth because their whole entire identity would just fall.
yeah,
And I went through that. Like it's so painful, but on the other side, it's like that saying, you gotta break down to break through.
yeah. Okay, so Jordan is now indoors. We're going to wrap up this video because the Zoom connection kept failing, but there was one other really disturbing development that came to our attention. And, I've heard about this from 3 different other survivors who fled the Nithyananda cult. And it wasn't until I heard it from like the 4th person that I realized this is true. It's not being exaggerated. And that's that after Jordan and I left, the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda, I don't even like talking.
So this happened soon after we left, right?
Yeah, soon
Like,
after we
like
left.
this could have been us that would have likely been involved in this.
Yeah, man, I've never thought of it from that angle before, but you're right. We could have been involved in it if
Very
we
likely.
they were forced, like with Jordan and I, the sexual abuse we survived was Nithyananda himself going after us sexually. But after he fled India, the way he would continue his sexual predation was by instructing the girls to engage in like group sexual acts with each other, and the boys to engage in sex with each other on camera. And what's
It
really
was filmed
interesting,
secretly.
secretly, like there was the way it was described to me by two of my
Now that sounds like something Dr. York was doing with the young'uns in his camp. See, there is similarities in cults. You just have to listen very carefully to what is being said by the survivors. Then you would know, and you can put together the jigsaw and put together how similar they are. It doesn't matter whether it's white, black, or indifferent. They all work the same. They all do the same things. He's getting his sexual gratification off of the young ones doing what they're doing to each other. And these is what these people are explaining right here, right now. So, like I said, it's noisy. So, yeah, I'll put it back on.
informants was that it was like an orgy, and they were told they've built up lust or incompletions related to sex because of their brahmacharyam, and that they had to work it out, and that they were instructed to do that with each other. What they didn't know is that it was secretly being filmed. And afterwards, they were told if they leave and if they go public and speak out the way some of us have come out and spoken out, that the film will be leaked to the Indian media, just like Ranjita and Nithyananda's video was leaked, or that it will be shown to their family, and that as a result of that, they will have no future in the Sangha or in the world, that nobody will want to marry them because they've done this, and it's such a huge taboo in India. That their
God.
families will disown them because their families won't approve of it. But what Jordan and I have realized, what we've come to the conclusion about, is that none of that collateral that they're holding against you will ever be leaked. The Nithyananda cult will never show your families photos of you nude or videos of you sexually active with a member of the same sex. They will never show Rudra Kanyas having group sex. They will never show Rudras having group sex. They will never leak any of that. Because if somebody in the cult shows the Indian media a video of you having sex with somebody, that video does not make you look like a bad guy. It shows that you are a victim. And that would be the proof that Nithyananda is running a sex cult. And like, I've watched a ton of documentaries about other cults over the last couple of years. It's been, I don't know whether it's like misery loves company and I enjoy relating to the experiences these other cult survivors have gone through. In a way, it's comforting to know we're not the only ones. But one thing I gathered, especially about the cult called Nexium run by Keith Raniere, is that all of the ladies who were in the sex cult called DOS were forced to give collateral to their masters. And ultimately, Keith Raniere was the top master. So similarly to the way the Rudrakanyas would have to give nude photos to Ma Pranapriya and Ranjita, but those are getting passed on to Nithyananda. In DOS, they'd have to give them to like Alison Mack, and she'd give them to Keith Raniere. That collateral was held over people like Sarah Edmondson, where she made up some atrocious lies about her husband and about her parents, about her family, and filmed it. And they told her if she ever leaves Nexium or if she ever goes public about her branding, that they would show her family what she said about them, or they would show people her nude photos that were taken. What I want to make really abundantly clear, the reason Jordan and I are putting our necks out on the line and talking about this, even though we know that that opens the door for the cult to retaliate against us again and to shit talk us again, the reason we're saying
I don't know how much more they can do to us, though. It always hurts them in the end.
Well, it proves that they're a cult. Like when I say the kids got beaten on December 31st, they said that I beat Priyamaya or that I molested Sundareshwara. They never addressed the issue of child abuse in the Gurukul. They just tried to divert people's attention
They
towards
cause their own downfall.
they're causing their own downfall, absolutely. But the reason Jordan and I felt it's important to talk about this is that by saying this publicly, that the cult of Nithyananda has collected sexual collateral against some of its members to keep those members from leaving and speaking out, by nature of the fact that we are saying this, they can never leak that, because if they do, that proves what we're saying. It proves
Isn't it illegal for them to do that? Like it's revenge sex or something like that, which is
revenge.
illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. There's anti-bullying laws, there's anti-revenge porn laws, there's like you can't film somebody nude without their consent. That's illegal. A person in power can't give the instruction to other people to have sex because that's the abuse of
Yeah.
like Nithyananda.
So anything that he is doing is just gonna come right back to him, and it's just gonna hurt him even more.
Yeah.
Like how he spoke out about us, how he sent Luke after you and spread all those lies about you. It just hurts him in the end. So if he even thinks about blackmailing those kids with the video content, it's just gonna hurt him severely.
Yeah. And like he never learns his lesson. That's the other thing. He thinks that he can somehow win again. Like he I don't know how to even word this, but like my impression of him is that he thinks we're attacking him because like the way a narcissist perceives somebody pointing out what they've done that's bad, they see it as an attack, not an exposure. So like we are not trying to attack the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda. We are trying to warn other victims before they get abused in the way we've been abused by Nithyananda. Like this isn't an attack, this is an exposure.
I seriously look at pictures of him and I just feel so like there's like anger, but it's like I feel freaking bad for the guy.
True.
Like I have a lot of compassion. Like he just doesn't get it. Like I have deep compassion for his soul.
Yeah. Oh, he's screwed.
Like how long is it gonna take for him to experience the light again?
True.
To experience God, like actual, like real God. It's who knows? Like that's my belief. He's put himself into such a bad place, bad state.
Yeah. It's true. He might sit on a silver throne covered in gold-dipped rudrakshas with a handful of people who believe he's Shiva, who are willing to die for him, but he lives in a constant state of fear. He's constantly afraid that he will be brought to account for his crimes. And that itself is such a dark place, but adding to that, his narcissism, his delusions of grandeur, and the fact that he's so frail in his own sense of identity that unless people worship him, he doesn't feel like his existence has any merit to it. Like if all of this were to end tomorrow, if all of his victims were to decide to let him off the hook, if the rape case got dropped, if Interpol decided he's not worth pursuing, if everyone he has ever swindled money from decided they don't care, like if he was free to walk, what's he capable of doing? The only life he knows is the fraud guru life.
Yeah, that's all he knows.
Yeah.
He has no intention doing right.
No, that's the other thing. No.
He doesn't even think about doing right. He's not even wired or programmed to do right.
No, he's had ample opportunity.
Speaker and able to extract some good things in Hinduism, pervert it. He's kind of like a Hitler.
Yes.
A little bit.
Absolutely. He tries to create an ambiance where the people who believe in him have an us against them mentality towards everyone else in the world. He'll tell them other Hindus
And this is what carbonation itself is going through right at this very moment. The us against them, they are going through because Solar has done what he's done. He is seen as the traitor. Well, but that's if he has truly left carbonation. So there is us against them, and there is a grandeur. There is I am better than, I am greater than. That's how most cult leaders think, feel. They are above everybody. They would tell their followers a whole heap of stuff that is not real. They keep them inside of a box unless they break away and they see the real world. But I'm gonna put up his news thing because before, when I started, I put up the newsreel what they did on him. I did do a little bit of this lady's little bit of how she came to be in the Ashwan herself, because it's quite long, and so I did a little bit of it. So you got a little bit of insight of to how she ended up being part of the Ashwan. Now I'm going to put up the news part of it so you can see what they're putting out about this guy. And I think after that I'm going to leave it there because I didn't start with intro outro. I just sort of just started like straight there, you know what I mean? But I thought I would give you a little bit of base so you can understand, hearing from the members themselves what they went through to inside of the cult itself. Being that she is a middle class white woman and he's probably a middle class white man as well on top of it. So if they was treated bad, what about the ones who is from the land? How they are treated, like beaten up and all this stuff, being beaten up. And fair enough, right? He took sexual pleasures with them, but they wasn't. The guy did not say he was beaten by the leader. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna play the reel, okay?
And viewers, I'm glad that after we picked up the Nithyananda dirty scandal, it has now become a national news story that everybody is tracking and reporting about. These so-called religious gurus have taken our country for a ride, our countrymen for a ride for far too long. These self-styled godmen who promise you and make you dream and give you the hope simply to get some money, to get some property, on some other sexual favors out of the innocent devotees. Now, the Ahmedabad police claims that Nithyananda has fled from the country, that he is untraceable. Perhaps he indeed is an alien like he claims and has the technology to miraculously vanish in thin air. But a very basic investigation by the Mirror Now team has led us to find the picture of his expired passport. Yes, Nithyananda's passport expired in 2018 itself. Now, big question, of course, is was it renewed? And if so, at a time when this man is facing rape charges, which he was last year, and that trial is still on, who let him get a new passport? Was there an alert put into the system? And if there was, then how could he have fled? That's the picture of the old passport of Nithyananda that expired in 2018. We tried to find out what happened after this. Listen in.
Sir, this is actually with regard to 2018, sir, when you were the SP of Ramnagar, sir. Just one small clarification I wanted.
Okay.
Had you, sir, by any chance, there are a lot of reports going the rounds now about you denying, Mr. Nithyananda the passport renewal.
Okay.
Because of, the criminal cases pending against him. So I just wanted to check with you, sir. Had you by any chance at that time denied the passport renewal?
I think I remember we denied that.
Okay. Okay, sir. So we can take it, sir, that, the passport renewal was denied by the Ramnagar police in 2018?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
So there you go. The policeman in charge at that point of time said that I remember it very clearly that his application, and to apply for a new passport or get your passport renewed, you have to get your police approval and verification done. Here is a police who says it was denied. So did he get a new passport? Under what name? And who really approved that is the question. Gujarat police claims he has fled. I hope they are watching this. The man who allegedly abducted and tortured children and faces a rape charge today released a video claiming innocence.
Arresting the administrators, forcing them to confess to the crimes which they have not done, and forcing them to implicate me into the crimes which has not happened. First spreading false informations using social media and media, then filing a false case, then arresting the administrators, Adinavasis, and torturing them.
But even in this 1 hour 10-minute video, and Mirana was the first to bring it out and show it to our viewers earlier in the day, as a 1 hour 10-minute long sermon that he is obviously giving brazenly without any fear of law, he is trying to scam people. He is asking for land donations, generous donations, and also hinting that all of this can be in exchange for divine powers, levitation powers, it seems. Take a look.
Many people, devotees, were crying and asking the SMKT, what can we do, what can we do? The only solution we can do is some small bit of land in any one corner of the world, anywhere, where we have freedom to practice Hinduism, where me and my sannyasinis can stay safely, just few acre land. If you are able to get, please inform. Registrar at kailasa.org. That is the only way I see permanent solution for this problem. I don't see any other solution. And after this great pause and settling down, I am also now overflowing with the high energies and highest power manifestation signs. Now my body is ready to initiate people into levitation and materialization powers and further next level powers. We just need few acre land.
Now, I just wanted to play that out so you all can actually see how this man still continues to mislead people, continues to scam them, get some donation, get some land out of them. And that's also a recurring charge. That's also a charge that has been made by the minor, the teenager who was rescued from his ashram, who said that we were made to make these phone calls across the globe, asking for donations, asking for land. What is he up to? The father of the missing girls continues to run pillar to post just for a glimpse of his own daughters. He continues to say that Nithyananda has brainwashed his daughters, forcing them to release videos after videos so that he can go scot-free. Now, I want Nithyananda and his team to hear me loud and clear. Come out from wherever you are and face the law. You are not God. You are not any kind of superpower. You are definitely not an alien. Face the law and respect the law, just like all of us do. Let's say good evening to Pritesh Shah, advocate of the complainant in this case, Dr. Ranjana Kumari, Director, Center for Social Research, Anupam Panwar, spokesperson for the Akhil Bharat Hindu Mahasabha, Mr. Swaranjit Singh, former DGP of Andhra Pradesh. But first up, I want to go across to Janadar Sharma, father of the girls who are still trapped in one of his ashrams, in one of Nithyanand's ashrams. Mr. Sharma, I just played out, abhi humne chalaya, an excerpt of what Nithyanand has said today. Have you heard him speak like this earlier also? Is this what he does? Mislead people into giving land and other donations?
Yes, he always give the target for each and everyone, including me, and he is always giving the target for the even the Gurukul Balasan's kids up to any level, whoever is associated with him. he will be giving the target. This is actually a group called, the name called enriching. The target will be given each and every individual to ask for the donation. It is not donation means 5 rupees, 10 rupees or 5,000, 10,000. It's always starts in lakhs and crores. Most of the people will be always looking for a crores of rupees. Crores of rupees means it is not even ending up with 1 or 2 crore. It starts with 1 or 2 crore but ending up with not ending. It is goes on 8 crore, 10 crore like that. And land means it is big. It starts with half acre. It's always start with acres only. And even in Gujarat, somebody has recently donated 200 to 300 or 500 acre land. That means continuously looking for land, looking for gold. There are some time people used to give gold to Tulabaram. Tulabaram means he will be sitting on one side weighing scale, another side whatever the number of kg, maybe 120 kg or 150 kg, equivalent to that 120 or 150 kg, people are committed to give gold. Understand, it is not 1 or 2 times. It has happened many times. So, I don't know, a person who climbs sannyas is looking for always 100, 200 acre land and always looking for tons of gold and silver and crores of rupees. This is what the target he used to give. Every day people will be selling all over the, calling all over the world and asking for money, donation. And this is a target he will be giving to each and every person. This is how he is running this ashram.
Mr. Janardhan Sharma, can you also, and I know this is very difficult, but 2 of your children were rescued from that ashram as your fight continues. And those are little children, they're not even 18 years old. What have they told you? Have they been able to share, what they saw? What were they made to do? What happens in this ashram?
Very bad, very sad things. Many things revealed in the CWC. जो भी अभी इधर मैं बोलूँगा तो it won't look nice, but I am telling you, it is so ugly, so worse. Child abuse, on top of that, knowingly, very cleverly, he positioned himself as a father, and also very worst way, he actually trained them to whatever he says they have to do it. It is all sexual abuse. I am not telling this. It is not only from my daughters. There are many evidences are there. That is the reason he suddenly started telling through my second daughter, who is Nandita, who is abhi tak rescue nahi hua hai. He is claiming through her that I have planned to ask Nandita to file the case against him, which is under POSCO. How somebody is telling that to 18-year-old my second daughter, without even talking to me, every day they are coming with different allegations. Suppose you are a clean person, na? Why you are worrying about POSCO? Why you are worrying about so many things? I am telling this time, whatever the government agencies are there, if they investigate whatever the laptop, whatever the mobile phone that they have recovered, I am not going to tell anything that it is going to be, I am not going to give any evidences. There is plenty of evidences are there.
Yes.
Catch hold of people like Bhakti Priya. Catch hold of, people are there. You can see their photograph, how they are positioned in Facebook.
Yes.
Can you believe they are all sannyasis? The way they are posing? So I don't want to comment on that because it is a big subject. I don't want to divert that.
Yes.
I am asking my daughter, when I am asking my daughter, why are you every other day putting a different blame to me? Suppose, if you want to put a blame to me, that does not mean that you hold my daughter here. How it is possible? You are telling some blame. Okay. Jo bhi hai, that is, we will discuss separately. If you wanted to do any legal action, take it. But how come you say, is there a hostage or what? You hold the people? Huh? What is this? I am asking everybody here, how come he is escaped Even after 15 to 18 months, none of the government agencies are traced him. When there is a 40 plus time he is supposed to be appear in the court, why? Where was he? Why none of the action has been taken? That is one. Anyway, that is nowhere related with directly my subject. My direct subject is that when I have given the police complaint
Yes.
for the in the November 1st, after that now 5 days back I am struggling. How come Nandita, my second daughter, has escaped from India? I believe that because she has given the video today with her sister claiming that they are in different country
Yes.
and they are going to be here on 26. What is happening? That is what I
Absolutely.
want to ask.
Now, what I'm doing, I'm looking up to see where exactly this guy is. Okay, so give me a minute. Let me just get this one and see what's going on. Okay, so the rape accused Nithyananda buys island, sets up own nation near El Salvador. So that's what the people was talking about. As police continue to look for the rape accused self-styled Godman Nithyananda, who is suspected to have fled the country, dogging the security agencies, we found out that he has formed a new Ashwan. According to the website, it is a nation without borders, created by disposed Hindus from around the world who lost the right to practice Hinduism authentically in their own country. The location of Kalasan remains mystery, although a news reporter revealed that the country is suspectedly located on a private island that he has allegedly bought from El Salvador near Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, he's near Trinidad and Tobago. So Kasar Asmani will be shocked has its own passport flag. Apparently, a passport will be issued by the grace of Shava. The holder of this passport is allowed to free entry in all 11 dimensions and 14 lacquers, including that place which I cannot say. So I'm going to go to the website. I'm going to go to the website and have a look. Let's see if we can find the beginning of the website.
Yes, problem identified. Yeah, I identified one too, but how do I fix either one? Solution pending. I will hurry back.
Because they left all their thingy. So they're in an island in El Salvador, which is what the two people was talking about. So they do have a website, and it's in English and Sanskrit and Tamil, but it doesn't show a lot of things. It just shows them in gardens. It's very well marketed strategy what he's done right now. So he's fled from India, part of India, to El Salvador, and this is where they're at now. Okay. And this is the countries and English languages, and they have their own citizenship and everything that goes with it. So that's what those two people was talking about when going to El Salvador. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna end it there for them. I mean, I might come back to this because it seems like there's a need. It's gonna be one of those ones where you have to update, keep an eye on it, and update it. So with that said, I would like to say thank you for coming through. Much appreciated. Trips. Let me see your transcript. Skydicus. Remiel, when my daughter's playing up, Angela Jones. So so in a minute. So with that said, I'm gonna come off because I normally leave it. Oh, hello, Big Chief. I'm just now finishing now. This is just about a cult that's now located in El Salvador, and I'm gonna take my leave until next build. Please put notifications on. You can donate if you, as well, like even if it's £2, £2, £1, no, £2, £3 is fine, and so that I can continue to do my research and bring forth content. I do have another channel called The Dark Side of Oshinyemi, which is totally different to this one. I do have a third channel, but I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with it. So, with that said, I will take my leave. Have a good day, have a good night, or good afternoon. And, you have to be very wary of certain places. Be wary of where you are. Be careful of who you sign up with. You might be in a cult and you might not even know you're in a cult. Cult comes in all shapes and sizes, all colors. It's globally. It's not just one place, one set of people. I did do a build on the two so-called ex-members, but you can go and take a look at that as well because they are part of a cult, active cult still. And I will be going. Okay, so with that said, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna leave the beginning of the newscast on, not news broadcast on it, and the bit about the lady where she talks about how she came to join with the guy. And just take your time and go through the replay. Listen very carefully. Do not rush it because then all the information's in there. And this is how cults are formulated and how they draw you in. So it just starts with yoga or little things and then it goes to another level. So with that said, I'm going to go because my daughter's playing up right now. So I'll see you. Bye.